How's everybody doing tonight?
Excellent, how are you?
I first want to point out that I came out mad early, but I placed the mic stand down so that nobody thought I was wrong in doing that. So give me a hand clap for the smoothest playoff in Houston. Thank you. You guys are great. I want to tell a story to you guys, a story of Black love, while we're talking about Black arts. My name is Xavier, Maryland. I go by Trey, and I represent the Black Box Project. And this poem is called Dyslexic Love.
Black love?
I remember it like the way people remember things like they were yesterday. Which is pretty funny because I don't even remember what I did yesterday. Or what I had for breakfast this morning, better yet. But see, I promised myself that I never would forget because it was adding my mistakes and multiplying my pain and then raising those to the power of Satan and his games and then dividing that by grace and realizing that God was the square root of my joy that gives you the product that you see today, see. Those who do not remember are doomed to repeat, and we liken them to Dr. Scholl's souls because they're in tune with defeat, see. One of the most essential qualities of being a Christian is being able to learn from the mistakes of others. So I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to learn from the relationship mistakes of your brother. See, she and I were what people like to call a match made in heaven. Two Christians, both living the life, who started a relationship with one goal, and that was simply to live right at the beginning. Sex was the furthest thing from my mind. I never meant to use or misuse her. I simply wanted pieces of her time. But the Bible says that life and death is in the power of the tongue, and that those who love of it will eat of its fruit. So all of our talk of marriage in the future made us behave as married people do so. I foolishly began to apply marriage principles to a relationship that in God's eyes didn't even exist yet, not realizing that he only saw my wife or my sister, not my girlfriend. See, girlfriend, boyfriend was a lucrative human construct that I used to construct a middle ground, somewhere between my desire for the woman I thought would be my future wife and a desire to be with her now. And in an act of foolishness and maybe even in an attempt to make an excuse for how I was living, I began to love the gift more than the giver. So you gotta check the language. I gave her all of me. And treated what John chapter 14 had to say about love like legend. Because at the end of the day, even though we're both saved, we're still ordinary people, right? Not realizing that this neo-era way of thinking was leaving my God so sick because he wasn't the one, I found myself trapped in the matrix of my own infatuation. Plugged into the system every time I saw her face or her name was even whispered, but instead of falling binary code, there were falling X's and O's, which quickly turned into O's and X's because loving backwards made my thoughts dyslexic. So I started to shoulder and carry her burdens, not like an XO, but thinking that I was as strong as an OX ox. It is crazy how expressing love backwards creates backwards love expressing how crazy it is. Let me say that again. I said, it is crazy how expressing love backwards creates backwards love expressing how crazy it is. See, forward and backwards, see, life deserts. Backwards, they began to stress me. My pals, backwards, began to slap me because they realized that the snug feeling I felt could quickly become as dangerous as guns. The things that I saw as stars quickly turned to rats. And since there was no more time for us to emit, it became a raw war for our attention. And in the midst of this, two Christians started to treat a just and holy God like he was just a lowly dog. Only running to him whenever we lacked human contact. And it was then when I realized that the devil, he lived backwards. I said it was then when I realized that the D-E-V-I-L, he L-I-V-E-D backwards. So I'm gonna say this once and for all, and I hope that you catch it. The main reason that relationships fail is not because we are stupid. It's not because we don't get it. It's not a lack of communication, and it's not even that we too often submit to our flesh. It is simply the fact that our love is dyslexic. So I beg you, be careful. Because to paraphrase the words of Proverbs chapter 29, the words that you say have the ability to make you their slave. You will find yourself making decisions off an emotional promise that you gave. But if you do slip, don't trip, because I have learned that you can learn from every mistake that you have ever made.